Hi, it's Scott, ROCKFILE, back with another podcast review, another Halloween review. Let's talk about my first watch of the last Voyage of the Demeter in 4K. Really wanted to see this when the movie came out back in 2023, and I just didn't get a chance. Didn't play here very long. Came out on Blu-ray from Universal. I kind of held out for a 4K eventually in January of this year. Shout Factory put out a 4K. Been waiting on that one to go on sale, and now that they've announced a Steelbook coming next month at $45, Amazon exclusive, you can get the original version of the movie on 4K for about $20. So I finally got to see it, and I remember why people... It's pretty much 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. It had a $45 million budget, only grossed $21 million, so it's considered basically a flop. I remember why people picked on it, because it's basically one chapter in the original Dracula novel. There is a chapter that covers about a month at sea. And that's what they turned the movie in. The director directed movies like Troll Hunter, and one of my favorites, The Autopsy of Jane Doe. I absolutely love that horror movie. That's one of the best ones of the 21st century. So I was looking forward to see what he did with this. Well, after watching the movie and then watching the extras, the director himself describes this as Alien in the 1800s on a ship with Dracula. And that's pretty much what the movie is. Alien in the 1800s on a ship, but the alien is Dracula. How much you like or dislike this movie is how they portray Dracula. I know for most of us, we like the suave, debonair guy who can out-talk people and that kind of thing. This is more of a creature. This is more of a force. And I think, if they hadn't done the whole Dracula thing, that this was just a monster movie on a ship, it wouldn't probably have had as many people putting it down, because I think it's actually an incredibly well-made movie. Really well done. Cinematography, direction, everything's really good. Andre Orldal, I can't pronounce his name. Anyway, like I said, he directed Troll Hunter, if you haven't seen it, and The Autopsy of Jane Doe, which is a really great horror movie. Bear McCreary did the music. You've got stars Corey Hawkins, David Dastmalchian, and Liam Cunningham starring in the film. And I thought David did a really good job. I mean, I like him. He's been in a lot of movies I've seen lately, but he really disappeared into the role of the co-captain, the second in command on the ship. So the story is basically 1 month at sea, where a ship is carrying 50 crates that they have no idea what's in them. They have some markings on them, and when they're putting them on the ship at the beginning, there's a lot of good stuff at the beginning. Actually, we actually see what happens with the ship crash, and they find the log, and they're scared of what they find there, and then it cuts to tell us what happened to that ship. How did it get here? And in the beginning, when they're hiring people to go on the ship, one of the people they hire recognizes the symbol that's on the side of these crates, and he's like, "I'm not getting on that ship. You guys, good luck. God bless you." All that kind of stuff. Again, I think, taking Dracula out of this would have been a great idea, but then you miss a whole lot of the marketing. But this is that one chapter in Bram Stoker's Dracula. It talks about the voyage across the ocean and how that happens. There's obviously a lot of room in a chapter to make a 2-hour film. I think it would have been a little bit better if it was a hair shorter and moved a little bit faster, but this director knows how to create some tension and knows how to create... just darkness, just kind of a feeling of dread kind of at the beginning before anybody gets killed. There are some animal deaths in here. Most of them are after the fact. You don't see anything actually happen. So if you're squeamish to that kind of thing, they look pretty gross. But like all the animals on board the ship get slaughtered. So just letting you know up front that happens. And other than that, like I said, it's an alien movie in the 1800s on a ship, and it's incredibly well done as that goes. How much you like the movie or not is how much you like how they portrayed Dracula. Not my cup of tea on the Dracula thing, but overall, when the movie was over, I kind of wanted to see more in that universe because the movie has a very, very real feel. There were a lot of special effects that I didn't catch. Like, I thought they were on a real ship most of the time, and they did build a large ship set, but most of the time it was in front of blue screens and green screens, and the special effects are really well done. Most of the monster effects are practical, and that's another thing that really sells the movie well. There are a few computer-generated things, but most of it, practical blood, practical effects. There is some additional embellishment of some bloody scenes and things and some of those animals I mentioned earlier. All of this I found out through the extras. You didn't notice this while watching the film. I think it was poised to be a great movie, but they released it in the summertime, which was probably not the best thing to do. And again, it's a Dracula story without much Dracula in it. It's got this creature that's a Dracula type thing, but he's not charming the pants off people. So to say much more, I would get into spoilers, but overall, I enjoyed the flick. I kind of had a lower expectation. Had I watched this a year ago and I was like stoked to see it and hadn't been that many reviews, but now the reviews are out and about 50% of critics really enjoyed it. 50% of critics didn't like it at all. And I can see both sides of it, but when it was over, I thought there's nothing wrong with this film. It's just not what I wanted out of a Dracula film, but it's not called Dracula. It's called The Last Voyage of the Demeter, and it's based on part of the Dracula book, but they embellished it. They did their own thing, and in that aspect, I think they did a good thing. I'm not recommending this to everybody, but if it, a bit of a slow burn that turns into kind of an alien thing with a creature taking people out one by one, it's well done in that aspect. Again, you just have to decide whether or not this is your cup of vampire tea or not. Last Voyage of the Demeter, though, I would give it a thumbs up if you're into that kind of thing. And I'm looking forward to what the director does next. Scott, I'm ROCKFILE. More podcasts on the way. More Halloween podcasts are also coming up. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a spectacular day.